Hi there, Summer Wars 2nd edition champion tier list. Let's go with it. Now with Cloaks and Avians added to the game, I wanted to just remake the tires. So yeah, let's go with the Admiral. The Admiral, I'm going to put it on Ace Plus. I think it's a balanced champ overall, but I'm scared of its potential with Relentless plus 4 EV, 4 strength. It's very scary. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm misvaluing it, and it's actually kind of OP. The potential, just Relentless plus 4 at strength is just very high. So that's mostly what I'm going to say about that. The Swift is just icing on the cake. But yeah, everything you add to a champ adds, and yeah, I think Admiral is kind of pushing it. But I still think it's balanced. That's what I feel when I play him overall. So yeah, let's go with the Admiral. The next one is Dire, which actually is kind of similar, what my opinion, than with Admiral. Also, I think it's balanced, but I'm very scared of the Dire potential. Sly is an extremely powerful ability, and the stats aren't that bad. And to add more power to that, you have Backstab, and actually it's an easy champ to drop with only 4 costs. So when you add all that, I consider Dire one of the strongest champs in the game right now. Very scary. Overall, I've not felt that she pushed the envelope too far, but it's pushing it. Yeah, even if I don't end eventually pushing her to S, I do think that she's still going to be one of the strongest champ released so far. Her power is very, very high. I like her, very fun champ, but yeah, I think it does a little too much, maybe. Maybe it's fine. But she's definitely pushing it. Since the opinion is actually quite different. I don't like Sinsen. I think she's quite weak. One of the ways to say it is imagining a 3-cost magic unit that's only choose 6 without ability. That's pretty sad. Obviously, it's more than that because you need to have the 3 magic, and that's important for tempo, especially early on. Being able to drop such a tough unit without needing magic is good. End game, your opponent might have no ways to use the 3 magic. It's a 3 call, so it works with dagger. So it does a little more, but I still think it doesn't. It's just quite mediocre. I don't know if that's how you spell that word. Infiltrate is kind of irrelevant most of the time. Sometimes it does something, but I'm never impressed. And the thing is, yes, you have the ones damage to your dynamic summoner, but your champ basically gets teleported to your back row where it's probably useless. It's going to have a hard time coming back to the battlefield unless you have dagger. So yeah, I'm not impressed by this champ. I think it's quite weak. I don't like it, and I expect with deck building it's going to go most of the time away and not go almost anywhere except maybe Cave Goblins, maybe, but even there I'm not very happy about it. So yeah, that's what I think of the Cloaks champ. 2 super strong champions that are pushing the envelope on champion power, and one that I think is pretty lackluster. So moving on to the Avians. The first, let's go with Cyrog, and Cyrog is going to go on the train of Dagger and the Admiral. It's a very powerful champ. When you play it and it has every Avian ability, it really feels unfairly strong. With that said, sometimes it's hard to use all the abilities, so it's not as unfair as it might look. Also, you need actually the units on the field, and I've been surprised how often Cyrog comes in and just missing 1 or 2 units. But the fact that it can get abilities from events, and it happens a lot on Avians with Blitz from a Battle Song and Flagged from Avian, makes it like, yeah, it's just, I think it's pushing also the envelope like Dagger, one of the strongest champ. Actually, I think it's stronger than Dagger. I'm very scared of this champ. But so far in the games, I've not felt it's that strong. So that's why I don't think I'm not putting in S, but you can convince me any of this. I mean, that's why there are Ace Plus. I think it's balanced, but you can convince me easily that any of these champs belong to S. So yeah, that's what I think of Cyro. Guildford is kind of the opposite. I do think it's balanced, but I'm sure it's not OP. I mean, in fact, it may be a B. And the reason is it's very hard to get use of it. I mean, sometimes when you use it, and the fact that it has flight on its own is pretty good. But I have a hard time finding uses. Sometimes it comes down, and I'm amazed how strong it is. But after times it just seems so lackluster. So I don't know, I'm still building my mind on Guildford, maybe a B actually, but for now I'm going to be on A- because I think the times it shines, it's really good enough that it's a balanced unit, but I may be wrong on how often it's good. So for that reason, I'm going to let it on S-. And then the final Rad. With Rad, it's going to be easy for me to just say it's a B. I don't like Rad that much. It's pretty costly, and the stats are not that good for its cost. And the ability is good, but it's not that good. I mean, yeah, for that amount of magic, I expect to have like 9 life, something like that. So you're having like 2 less life for an ability that is strong, but it's not that strong. So yeah, well, generally when I see is a huge expense. Yeah, sometimes in certain games it does quite a bit. So yeah, definitely it's a good summon. There are games where you just see pull out the work, but it's never super impressive to me, and it's hard to find those spots where it shines. So yeah, I think B is where it fits. So that's where I'm at with the new faction. So let's go. My rework of the old faction changed my mind quite a bit on them. Let's go with Vanessa. Vanessa, I don't know how to spell it. But Vanessa is a straight A. I think it's one of the most balanced gems, and I think it's a good parameter for how champs power should be. It's Vanessa is actually interesting in that it seems it should be only really strong versus like small melee attackers. Uh, and if that will be the case, she will be a B or a minimum C. But actually, she's very strong versus everything. She has pretty good stats for its cost, and Riposte just works even versus range because you can close people in and force them to attack and range. And it's very hard, even if against high damage units, you're just receiving 1 damage that it's very hard to avoid. So yeah, overall I think Vanessa is very solid, very versatile, deceptively versatile, and I think it's a champ that represents what I think should be the core power of champs in the game. The Fire Drake, I'm going to surprise no. Well, I mean, I think the Fire Drake is a C. I mean, it's not very good. It's even worse than Sin. The Fire Drake problem is that you need to telegraph your move. You need to have 8 magic and tell your opponent, hey, I'm going to summon the Fire Drake. And often you can only summon the Fire Drake that turn because otherwise you need like 9, 10 magic. So it's not as easy to use. And then these abilities are not that strong. The stats are not that great to compensate. Like, Fire Drake is never really amazing. So yeah, that's why I think it's a C tier champ. And then finally for the Vanguards we have Holias. I think Holias is super solid champ. I think it's an easy A. A little worse maybe than Vanessa, but still just super versatile. Yeah, sometimes in endgame it's kind of bad, but I mean, very you can do, the ceiling is super high. Sometimes when you summon her early on, it seems kind of unfair how much value it gives to the game. And even mid game is kind of fine. Just yeah, it does a little too much. It has poor stats, but overall, when you add all that up, you have a very solid champ. So that's it for the Fennec Elves. The same goes for the next. Let's go for the Tundra Orcs. Ragnar, I think. I mean, a little disappointed by Ragnar. I'm going to say it's a B. Yeah, it doesn't give enough boost to compensate the kind of mess that. I don't think the ability is that strong. The comparison with Vanessa is the SE1, and I think Vanessa has 1 more life, and I think the ability is maybe even slightly better. So you can see why I'm a little disappointed by Ragnar. I've been using less and less in Tundra Orcs. Still think it's good if you can summon several fighters. But other than that, yeah, I mean, still very playable, but it's not as efficient as other champs up there. So I think B is a fitting place for him. I think I'm going to move him below Rat. And next one is Shang. Shang has been super solid. It's so easy to play because he has so much life that you don't care. I mean, it doesn't never need to attack. Just having the walking gate, or not the gate, but the walking wall around has been extremely efficient. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have to say. It's just amazing stats, amazing life mostly. Yeah, the ability and the tag is kind of meh, but with that much life, you don't really don't care. That he's not there to kill people, and he can though. He's there to just be kind of immortal. Yeah, he's great for that. So finally, Targan. I think Targan has been pretty solid for me. Great support. The 4 attack for only 5 is always great. And with a far shot, kind of compensate the kind of low life compared to other 4 attacks. The fact that you have piercing frost to help shamans, this is, yeah, it's just the package is too complete as it should be. For a champ it discussed, and yeah, I think Targan does a great job, and yeah, that's what I think of it. Next one, let's go with Svara. And some people are going to be surprised because I've seen many people say Sharman is one of the best champions, not the best. I don't think that. I think Sharman is okay. Yes, it's true. It can be quite oppressive sometimes, but other times I felt he's a little lacking. So yeah, I think it's a good champ. Obviously, I mean it's balanced, but I don't think it's an A plus or S as some people would put him. And yeah, I think it takes a while to kick in. People can play kind of around. The stats are actually kind of Holia's level, and I don't think it's that much better ability than Holia's, if at all. I mean, if you see, I rank him as slightly lower than Holia's. I think Holia's is more versatile and even more powerful sometimes. So yeah, I think that's what you think of Charmin. Nadiana is going to be also a very controversial one because I don't like Nadiana quite at all. It's actually going to rank her and see. I see some people value her up. I rarely use her in games, and when people play against me, it's not that great. And I think people overvalue, yeah, how she looks amazing when you have a lot of structures and you have the parapet, but that's not something you can do easily. It requires a lot of work. Sometimes play gates that you don't need. You just put them to buff Nadiana that later do nothing, kind of. So yeah, I think she's very hard to play, very hard to get value. I don't like it her as much. I can see maybe she's a B and maybe I'm overreacting, but so far I've barely seen games. I barely play her. I think it just doesn't add enough value to me unless you support her very much and then you're paying like quite a bit for her power. Also it's very easy to just maneuver around her in the way that she can really do good attacks. So you can kind of ignore her in a way. So yeah, I'm not impressed by Nadiana. So yeah, it's a siege. It's still playable, but not much better than just take the fire wreck, which most people consider like it's a proper C tier. And then we have Oleg. Oleg has been very, my opinion has been changing a lot with it. Sometimes I mean it's somewhere between A minus and B. We can discuss where it belongs. I'm going to put it on B. Sometimes when he kicks in early on and fast, the amount of life you can provide can be very unfair. But other than those situations, it's kind of meh when I'm just bad. So yeah, I'm not super onto Oleg. I think yeah, if you can draw it very early on, you should definitely play it, and it's going to be kind of unfair. But other than those, like second, third turn Alex, I think he's even okay or even just bad. So I think B is fine, but you can convince me just go like here. I don't know. Maybe it's fine. Very close. I agree. It's very kind of valuable. So yeah, let's move to the Fallen Kingdom, which I'm going to spoil. I don't think has great champs. Dwarves has been I think it's a bit higher. I mean, honestly, I'm almost on C. And I think another decks will be kind of at C. The problem is Red Alus has so much champs and really kind of need to use the magic that it doesn't feel that bad. And it provides things that Red Alus needs, so it's hard to find if it's a B or C, but overall, yeah, that's where I put him, kind of in between B and C. I think like the stats are not that great for like 6 cost, and the ability is kind of bad. Even Red Alus were kind of want to sacrifice units. I don't know. Just it's kind of meh. It's still the most summoned champ of Red Alus, and I think that kind of confuses people to think he's stronger than he is. But yeah, I think it's a B for now. But you can put it lower, and I wouldn't like disagree. Then I'm going to go with Elud Bal. I think Elud Bal is a C, but actually high C. I mean, you can convince me also that it's a B. Elud Bal has been performing a lot better than I thought, but again, it's the thing that the Red Alus champs are so bad that you kind of desperate for it. But yeah, I don't know. It's despite its slow life, thanks to Under Archer, it's not, you can kind of protect it for a few turns, and then if you're hitting for 6, that's not a bad thing, obviously. So yeah, but you can convince me it's a B. But for now, I'm going to just drop it to C. I think my biggest problem with it is that you have to sacrifice a unit to summon it, even if you don't value the positional advantage. And that's quite limiting for it. But yeah, I think maybe it's a B. I don't know. It's just very close there. Obviously, that's going to happen because tires are not like starting at this point. Everything changes, right? It's very like a gradient. So yeah. Finally, for the Fallen Kingdom is Gul'das, and I'm going to go straight up and say this is the reason I added an F. I think it's an F. I've not seen Gul'das anymore in games, and honestly, the few times I've summoned it, I regret it. It's not doing enough. I mean, in the situation where I think it's going to be great, it's actually never ends being great. The reason is you can have first, if you want to ignore it, you can ignore it. I mean, it's only hit for 2. And if you're going to self-harm him, just like with slot summon, then life becomes super low, and then you're not doing much. And if the opponent just wants to just attack it, given how expensive it is, it's not a bad proposition to attack it. I mean, you can ignore it, and if you don't ignore it, it's fine too. And because it ends underperforming too much, and that's why I think it's an F. I think almost always really you should just burn it. It's just you have better uses for magic than just trying to make him like okay. So yeah, I'm sorry to say that this is the first card so far we have an F tier in Summoner Wars. Yeah, I hope we see some buff to it, just because it's so sad to see him so weak. So let's move on. Next faction, the Vanguards. I think I'm going to raise some eyes here because I think Valna is a V, and yeah, on the weaker side, almost a C. You can convince me also it's a C. I think Valna is actually very expensive. He has nice life, but not so much even his attack. And Citadel champions are expensive. If they will be commons, it will be different. Guidance is kind of irrelevant, really, most of the time. And you need a lot of work to raise that number to a decent number. Movements, you don't can just dance around. I don't know. I think Balna has been, I've been having troubles making her work, and see people is learning how to play around her, and suddenly she's not doing well. I could be easily convinced it's a C. In fact, let's be more spicy. Let's move her to C tier because yeah, I think she needs help. I don't think she's performing well, but it's somewhere between C and B. Shakov is going to be one of the first, the first D. I think the same that Valna requires a lot of work to work. I don't know, when you do, it becomes quite predictable. Like you can just kind of avoid and play around it, and yeah, you can have very high attack value, but that needs a lot of work. I've said in the past he's like an 11 cost champ, something crazy, and it's not that great. Sometimes in specific games where the game slows down and you having a range power and you can protect it, and yeah, everything happens actually okay. But if you see replays and you see games a lot in tournaments and leagues, how often that happens? It's not often. It's almost never. When it happens, sometimes I'm like, well, Shaco maybe it's quite good because you can have those moments of shine, but they're so spare that I think D is fitting because most of the time you're just better just giving up on it and just yeah, just not bothering with him. Venom Breakdown, without doubt, the best champ in the Vanguards. With that said, I've seen some people rank us as one of the top 10 champs in the game. I'm going to be, again, a little spicy here. I'm going to put her on B. I think she... I don't know. You could convince me. Let's not be that spicy. I'm going to put that at A-. Maybe it's balanced, but I don't know. Somewhere here. I mean, it doesn't matter ultimately whether I put her, but let's put in B. Yeah, I think she's lacking just a little. I think she's very expensive, but it's again, if you work in every common, maybe will be helped. The priest, the fact that doesn't help the priest just kind of annoys me. Often doesn't do much versus low attack units actually, because often they still hit for one, and well, some low attack units hit for one, doesn't prevent from direct damage. I don't know, it doesn't. You need to summon her early on and be working for a lot of the game, and then it's kind of on Olag it's kind of cages along Olag, because yeah, it's the same. If you can drop her very early on, she can provide a lot of value. But the other time, most of the time, that's not what she's gonna do. She's going to feel kind of flat and not do that much. I know people claim, people are going to say, "Oh, I have this game where she prevents like 1,000,000 damage." And maybe that's one. Maybe it's balanced because sometimes her ceiling can be quite high. I just feel that not often enough she adds enough. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very open to just be super wrong here, and she's actually kind of here. And I mean, here, I don't think, like, I've seen some people claim that she's more powerful, and yeah, I don't think. I think this is her ceiling, and that might be well that I'm misjudging her. But so far, I have to go with how I feel at the moment, and right now I feel she's kind of gonna be with very, very close A minutes. So yeah, let's move to Meet Mumbai. Yeah, I'm going to laugh because yeah, I mean, no question here. He kind of sucks. Meet Mumbai, I still use it. That's why it's a D. I think sometimes the game kind of slows down. Like in certain matchups, having a 6 attack unit is great, like versus Polar Dwarves. Sometimes you get to 8 magic, no problem. Sometimes you can drop a lot of boost. Like there are situations where Meet Mumbai works. Those situations are very rare. Those situations require very specific navigation through everything, but sometimes you are happy with it. It's just that doesn't happen enough, and that's why it's a D. And that's the proper situation for a D. For a very once in a blue moon, yeah, it's the right car for you. That's a D. That's Meet Mumbai. Once in a blue moon, you're happy with it. You're not super happy, but you're happy with it. And most of the time, it's just kind of meh, just discard it and do nothing. Next one is MTQ. I think I'm going to surprise people because some people will expect this. I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to say I'm going to put it below Cyrock. Smithy Kiro, no surprise. I've been since the start of the game. Super strong, super solid. You're never unhappy with it. You can summon it every game, and it does stuff. But White Snow does. The reason is I've changed a little my mind of the power level, the proper power level of champs, and I don't think Mythic has been that more amazing than this ones. I think these other ones have higher ceiling. Well, not Shang. Shang is kind of like him, but Shang with his 11 life, I mean, very amazing to me. But the others kind of have a higher ceiling that Mythicuru in theory has, because we try and inspire about very powerful high ceiling abilities, when in reality it doesn't feel that most of the time, but sometimes it does. Or this is an A+. It's a unit that I think you can, again, you can convince me it's an S, that's why it's an A+. But no, I don't think that this is a bad power for a champ. I don't think people play against Kiro and feel like it's too strong. But I don't know. I think I've been surprised. I've been checking the rankings on Summer Wars Zone. Many people are not putting Kiro on the top champs. So that kind of supports my current position. I might change my mind in the future and it's actually an S, but it's very close and that's why it's an A+. I think right now it's kind of balanced, so that's an A+. So next one is going to be Ru, and Ru it's going to be the same situation than Kiru. I don't think like many people claim that Ru is stronger than Kiru. I think she's actually but still very close, also the same. I'm less likely, well, by putting her here, I'm just saying that, right? Less likely to put her an S than Mythical. However, it seems sometimes annoying. She had so much life. It feels sometimes like she needs an 8 life, but maybe 9 is fine. And that's why, if I felt that she really deserved a 1 less life, I would put her on S. But I'm not sure about that. And that's what makes deserves the proper A+ tier. So yeah, that's it with Makin Naru and with the Savanna Elves. The next one is Gul'dan. I think it's kind of overrated. I think it's amazing. I think it's a great champ, but I think it's overrated. I'm going to put him actually surprisingly kind of here. Yeah, I think the reason for this is, yes, it has a high ceiling, but also I've seen Gul'dan lose games, and that's because he's very expensive and has a relatively low life, and often comes in and just dies. And yeah, I don't know if that risk is compensated enough. I mean, if you play him in the right situations, he just take over games. So. But you could say the same over the other champs. Well, maybe not Shang or Vanessa. Those are more solid type kind of champs. But the others kind of can have a crazy potential. And I think that compared to the others, Gul'dan has not a much higher ceiling, but has a lower floor, right? He's kind of harder to play because it's easier to put him in a situation where he just dies and may put you too behind the game. Yeah, I think that's my situation with Gul'dan. That's why I think he's that strong. The next one is Wararg. Wararg is going to be like a C for me. I don't like Wararg much, but I've seen him actually do more work lately. So yeah, I mean, the threat of Wararg sometimes is enough. Sometimes can win, but most of the time you just better just discarding it. It's just the stats are too bad for the cost, and the ability is kind of situational. I agree in the deck it is. It's 7 Wars. I don't think it's the proper deck for him. So yeah, there is some of that. But yeah, I think it should have more stats. And basically, I think that I don't think it's too expensive. It doesn't do often enough. It just needs 2 perfect situations work, and that's why I think it's a C. Then finally it's Galag, and I'm going to again surprise people here because Galag is going to be tired actually. And the reason is Galag is I've said it a lot. I like Galag a lot. Actually, I think it's a very fun champ to use, and it has the same problem that Gul'dan. It kind of requires a very specific. It's very expensive and it requires quite specific type of game to shine. I agree, in those games, that's why it's a B tier. B tier champs in the right situation can be as amazing as A tier. But the problem is that situation is a little more rare and it's not that amazing. But yeah, in some games where the game slows down and she can just activate greater push gain in the game, she can take over games, she can win games, but she's very expensive. That situation in Summer Wars is not that common. It's not like it's going to happen every game. So she needs the cards to be dealt in a way that she shines. But when she is, she can be quite a monster. And why, despite she's kind of situational, she's actually a B. If you ask me, I think for the cost, she should have maybe one life, one mile. I would give her one extra life. And yeah, I think we will maybe move her here. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's here. It's very close, but overall, I think she's happy. Yeah, let's move to the Cave Goblins. I'm going to start with Blarf. I think Blarf is actually surprisingly balanced. The reason is he's never super impressive, right? You can, let's say you pay 3 magic, you have a 3/6 for 3 with no ability. But and this might go against what I said about Sin Sim, but the thing that you can drop, you can just have it in the can and just drop it and have it around. It's just pretty good. And then you can pay or not, seeing how much you need. Like that versatility that gives you, it's very, very strong. I really like Larv. Yeah, I just think it's super solid. I think it's a very balanced champion. I could convince maybe it's an A-, maybe, but overall I think it's an A, and yeah, I think it's a great champion that works. Smeg, actually, I'm going to drop him to B, and actually it's going to threaten C place. I think Smeg is actually not that great. The reason is, I know it's paying 1 magic every turn it's very expensive, and she doesn't add enough value in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. When I play it, I'm never like, when I face Smeg, I'm never like, wow, I need to kill it. I'm like, okay, just keep that thing around. But the other time, it's kind of easy to play. You just kind of largely drop it. It's a 0 cost. You don't even need to consume an attack, so you can have it putting pressure. And for a deck like Cave Goblins, it's all you need. So if you don't kill it, it's fine. If you kill it, well, you should spend. You're never that happy with Smeg, I guess, and that's why it's a B, despite this alone also never impressive, unlike Larv doesn't. So yeah, I think it's a worth laugh. I could go convince Evan it's a C, but for now I'm going to put him a B. And finally, later, I think some people will ask, it's going to be an F or a D. I'm going to move him on D. I've been using it some games. I think in some games it's fine. Like Gul'das. Gul'das is an F because I think too many times you just don't want to play him. I almost never. I'm sorry. You almost never want to play him. There are games where I'm fine with it. There are games where I'm hoping it's the last card because I have a use for those. Yeah, I think Synced Magic. Obviously, it helps as it's in a deck that doesn't have many ways to use Magic. I've used it to win a few games lately. Obviously, it just needs everything perfect for him to shine. You need to have the gate in the right place, the right state of the game. You need to, yeah, I mean, a lot of things. But sometimes it works. And I think because sometimes it works, it's enough to gain the D position. Actually, I think I have been using it more than maybe 3, so I'm going to move it here. So that's it for the champions. Obviously, this was a bait. This is, I think, empty. I don't think there is any overpowered champ. There's no champs I want to nerf. And I think for a C will be something like, if I had the magic one, I would nerf, because I think it's too strong. I don't think these are the champs that might be there, and I'm not convinced. I may change my mind in the future. But so far, I don't think anyone deserves a nerf, so to speak. On the other hand, you will see a lot of champs at the lower tiers, and I think right now in Summer Wars, the champ power level has been lower than what's best for the game, in the sense that you're actually fine throwing away the champs because they're not that great. And we have seen with the new second wave that change. These are champs that you are actually, and I think that's how a champ should be. You should be sad to drop champ, and I think this champ represent that, right? You have Vanessa and you want to hold her into her. You have Shang, you want to hold into her. So I want more champs to be like that, and I think this is the core power level, and I think it's the proper level because champs are expensive, are kind of situational, and when you some of them they have to should be impactful, and when you see those champs, they're not making the game worse. I think they're making the game better, right? I think it's better for the game for champs to be this common. So I think this is the proper power level of the game. So when I see the other champs compared to also the top, they're kind of lackluster, and that's why there are so many champs weaker. I think we have seen with the last 4 sets release, Tundra Orcs, Savanna Elves, Avians, and Cloaks. There is a rise in the power of champs in Summer Wars. And I hope this trend continues. I think this should be the aim of Warlord. I hope to see more the future champs in Summer Wars to be this power level. I think it's good for the game. And yeah, I think this is the current set of champs. In general, most decks, you don't want to summon champs as often. But when you play Tundra Orcs or Vanguards or Cloaks and Avians, you want to bring the champs in. I think that's good. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say for the champs. So, there it is.